10, 9, 8, 7. Come on, everyone. 5, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Yes.
And we're open. And of course, as you can see, we're still using that same countdown because Cheap Jokes hasn't made us one yet. He's been promising us for weeks to make us one, but he has not made us one. Unbelievable, my friend.
He's not muted.
What's
like
that?
The rest of us. How come his microphone's not muted? Like the
because
rest of us
I was silly a few months ago to give him my master login so he can control everything as well.
Oh,
yeah.
I usually don't, but
I was just talking with someone tonight about that. Is that the only way to do that on StreamYard? If you want other people to be able to have all the power, you just have to give them your login?
Yeah. It sucks, but yeah, it pretty much is the only way.
Okay.
StreamYard is a pain in the butt. Like no doubt about it. It's like monopolize the market perfect for multi-streaming, but it's also, a pain. But it works for us, so we'll roll with it.
Yeah, it's a bit of both.
Already people jumping in. April from over there as well, and from New Zealand. Like, we don't even have Australian viewers at the moment. They're all from across the water.
They're all mine.
Oh man!
Hi guys.
Dan brings the crowd. That's why.
Nice
Dan's milkshake brings everyone in. Right, let's go straight to the good on you. Straight to the guest. As you'll see, top right corner, we do have Boone, as in Boone Builds. And if you already don't know anything about it, well, Boone has been in amongst the LEGO community for many years, and last year, like myself, was part of the season 1 of the US LEGO Masters and absolutely killed it. Did well with Mark. And thankfully enough, it's 1 a.m. where he's hanging out and where he lives at the moment. And he was brave enough to stay awake and come on and pretty much talk a bit of crap with us. So thanks again, dude.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you very much, BILSY. I appreciate you having me on.
No, it's, we try to get as much guests and we try to keep things interesting. Otherwise, it's just going to be us 4 blokes talking crap eventually, and we'll just like fade out in the wind. So keep it spicy with people and, all right, let's kick it off and start. Before we get into Boone and Boone's builds and stuff, let's kick it off. And I've seen your stream today as well, and me and Bill built it yesterday, the Ghostbusters Ecto One. Weapon of a build. There you go.
Oh,
Bill's
look at it
right there.
I'm not done. I'm here. So
spoiler. That's good. Are you going to go stickers, Boone, or no stickers?
I'm not going to be outdone. I've got one.
I'm going no rust stickers. I'm gonna do all the other stickers. No rust.
Yeah. Good choice. So keep it clean.
We've got to give a shout out to Brent. Now we all know Brent's in the chat.
Brent,
say hello. So Brent was obviously the original designer for the first Ecto One.
Yep.
Do you want to see how Brent turned up to our local Lego shop to pick up his latest Ecto One?
I've seen photos. That was epic, man.
Check him out.
Yeah.
Look at that commitment.
How's that for rocking up just to go and buy his Ecto? Like, we should have, like Bill said, we're gonna stream from Dreamworld and do the build there. Wow. And then, how good, we could have just got Brent to build with us as well. That would have been extra credit there.
That's big discount there. Hope you got a discount to go on the extra mile.
Yeah, and what most people don't know is 5 minutes later, he went into Dreamworld and become one of the actors that walk around with the crowds for the day to pay off for the Ecto One. All right, let's go from the start. Boone, with you, I guess. Let's kick it off. What was your going into the Lego Masters? Obviously, you're already part of a big Lego community. What was your push to jump in and get onto the show?
Yeah.
Honestly, I've always been interested in like reality TV. Back when American Idol was a thing here in the United States, I wanted to apply for American Idol. I never actually did because they never came to my town, and I wasn't going to I was like a college student. But I applied to a show called Making It, which I think it was called The Handmade Project with Amy Poehler and Nick Offerman. I don't know if you guys know any of these people, but I made it to like second round of that, and I found that like half of the stuff I was submitting was Lego. And so I thought at that time, I'm like, man, there just needs to be a Lego show like this. And then, of course, there was very shortly thereafter in UK and in Australia. And so when it came up, I'm like, I got to do this. I don't know.
Was your auditioning and like the process leading up to get selected very hard?
I mean, there was a lot of competition. They say thousands of people applied. I heard somewhere 11,000. I have no idea if that's true or not. You know, I feel like at casting finals, we were so nervous. At no point in the process did we have any idea if we really had a shot at getting on the show or not. In hindsight, you know, at casting finals, I don't think we were up against everybody. You know, we were up against the other teams that had like 2 white bearded dudes. You know what I mean? And it was like those were our only competition, really. So we just had to be better than them. And I've talked to casting folks from that process, and it turns out, in hindsight, I don't know if I'm really allowed to say this, but I'll try to say it gently. We were in consideration the entire time from the beginning to the end, you know, and so we spent weeks and weeks and weeks nervously fretting about whether we were still being considered, whether we were going to make it or not. And of course, nobody knows, right? So, but in hindsight, that was probably a little unnecessary. But
how long before filming started did you find out?
How long before filming started?
Yeah, did you find out? Yeah.
Days. I mean,
really?
Oh, really?
And here's the thing is, I had a very close friend who was on a show here in the United States called King of the Nerds. And she won season 2 of King of the Nerds. And so she was kind of like my behind the scenes of reality TV. I would just pick her brain about everything. And when they started her show, and of course, it wasn't the same network, it wasn't the same production company. So who knows, you know, I needed anything to grasp at, right? So I was asking her questions. And she said that I think there were 20 people on her show, or maybe 10. I think it might, I don't know, 12. Let's say it was 12 people on her show. They brought down 15, and they cut 3 on the last day before taping, and went with 12. So we felt like when we were flying down to tape, we still weren't even 100% sure that we would actually be on the final cast. I think at that moment we should have known, because it ended up being the whole cast was there and we were set, and a few days later we were rolling, you know. But we, you know, nobody came out and said like, congratulations, you're on the cast. It was like, hey, it's looking good. It's like almost like nobody in the process felt like it was their role or responsibility to like give us the 100% good news, you know. I don't know,
until the last minute.
Yeah.
So with the Australian seasons, I know all the teams have kind of really bonded as a group, and you know, you spend a lot of time with each other. Were you guys the same, kind of hanging out from day one?
Yeah. You know, I mean, it took a moment. Some people were easy to get to know really quickly. Like, I don't know, you guys familiar with the cast?
Yes.
From our season?
Yeah.
So, like Manny, Mark and I connected with Manny like immediately. And then Mel and Jermaine, we got to know very quickly. Samuel from Sam and Jessica, I got to know him. Samuel was the only person on the cast that I had ever met before. We had met at Brickworld Chicago the previous year.
Well, that's the same with us. We knew Mel. We've known Mel for a few years.
Yeah,
we know Mel quite well.
Yeah. So those of us, we clicked pretty quickly. And then I'd say like Flynn and Richard became our friends pretty quickly. Amy and Crystal, we became, you know, we were just hanging out. And, you know, one of the benefits we had is while we were taping, it was the first run of the first season of Mandalorian. So every Thursday night, we would all gather together in somebody's room and watch the new episode.
Yeah, I think our season 2 guys did the same thing.
Yeah.
I know Andrew and Damien are big Star Wars guys, they were always hanging out watching Mandalorian with everyone. They'd organise it.
Yeah. For those that are in the chat as well, if you do have a question for Boone, just put it in there and I'll keep an eye on it and we'll pop it up. When you were, for you guys, when you were filming, from, I guess, the move-in or bump-in day from filming one to when you finish, how long overall did it take? How long was that journey for you?
It was just about 8 weeks.
Well, that's pretty quick.
Yeah. Yeah. It was, we filmed part of 2 episodes every week. And there were some weeks where if we were wrapping an episode on Monday, we would shoot the next episode Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and start a 3rd episode on Friday. So yeah, it was. I don't know. I have nothing to compare it to, but
yeah. No, at the moment, our season 3 is getting shot and filmed right now.
Okay.
And they had a 12-week window, and they're pushing that down to 8 or 7 weeks or something now, like something crazy.
Yeah, they're smashing through it. I know they're up to 4th episode at the moment.
Yeah, it's insane.
They're moving pretty fast.
Wow. So I'll
did
tell
you guys?
When we first got down there, all we'd had access to were like little clips from YouTube of UK and Australia, just really like little clips or full episodes, but on those weird channels where they're like, you know, you've got all this random noise in the background to try to foil the copyright infringement stuff on YouTube, and it was really hard to watch. And so when we got down there, it was actually Sam had the entire Australia season 1 on a thumb drive, and we started passing that around. So in the first few days, you know, I think we had a couple of days. Well, we had one day that was just wardrobe. And then we had a couple days of shooting like hero package stuff where they took us each team out on the town and we did goofy random stuff. And in the evenings we were watching you, BILSY. You know, we were trying to figure out what you guys did right and you shouldn't have been watching me then. Well, I just mean you and your cohort generally.
But. Yeah, we were kind of the opposites of what you don't want to do.
Well,
but, hey, we got
you hung in there.
Yeah, we did okay.
We guys were the guinea pigs for the whole, you know, international series, really. Like everything
very
that's
much
happened.
They've mirrored it off us because if you go back to the UK ones, like we said before, they were very childish, very children driven. Our one was the first proper reality open up. This is an adult show now.
Right. Well, and it was the first time that it was done. You know, what I gather is that reality for y'all in Australia, maybe the television market in general is more similar between Australia and the United States than perhaps the United Kingdom. So it's sort of this format that, like, it was the first time we saw something that was done the way it would be done. Yes. You know, what we're used to, you know, but.
So here's one, I guess, if you obviously, you know, the as you said, the USB stick got around and went around. You guys had the support bridge challenge as well. Was there tips taken from what not to do, I guess, to make your guys one stronger in that sense? Because like if you got that in the back of your mind, you're thinking, all right, you know, look at G and Dave's build. We're going technique, we're going triangles, you know. Was that?
Yeah, I remember at the beginning of that challenge, everyone ran to the Technic, and we just all grabbed Technic stuff. But then I don't know what made us think, like, look, if we just stack brick and interlock brick like crazy, theoretically, it's going to be super, super strong. And, you know, they weren't prepared. The production was not prepared to put enough weight on our bridges. So, and it was the day before, it was a Wednesday, it was the day before Thanksgiving here in the United States. And so everybody on the whole production is ready for a 4-day weekend, right? And so, and it's a long day. The testing is taking far longer than they thought it was going to, and they have to keep stopping because they keep running out of weight.
That happened with us.
Yeah.
They went to 8 kilos, I think, and they were supposed to drive a remote control tractor over our bridge until it broke and ended up turning into gym kettlebells.
Right.
So
right.
Yeah.
So they thought the truck was going to be enough for you guys.
Yeah, they, well, I mean, it's same with the bridge challenge, and it was the same with season 2's tower challenge when they shook the. Have you seen season 2 Australia? Any of the episodes, Boone, for that one yet?
I've seen a lot of clips.
Have you seen the one they built a tower that they had to kind of support? Yeah. So that one, they actually, one of the towers broke the plinth that was on the table that was shaking. It snapped it because it was just well built.
Yeah. And theirs was like super dense, right?
Solid.
It was just solid brick. I mean, and I remember Brickman was like, you guys, you're not going to be able to lay brick as fast as you need to finish this. And then they did. That was really me and Mark. That was our goal with our bridge. It's just like, let's just cram.
Wasn't that where the Bucket Brickman come from?
What was that?
Coppet Brickman.
I think that was the Coppet Brickman, or they had a bit of a smart ass reply to the Brickman. Yeah, it was good. I know with our episode, we lost one whole episode, never went to air.
Really?
Like a complete finished episode is just. I don't think it was something to do with like it just didn't sell well to what they wanted. We didn't follow the brief to what they wanted. Was there a lot? And I'm guessing because like us, everything was squished in as much as you could. Was there a lot that you're like, you missed that. You didn't show this. Oh my God, I can't believe you missed me doing that. That as you watched it back?
Not like really significant stuff, but tons of little stuff. In I think it was episode 3 for us. There's this moment with Will and Mark where Will is like, what's something great about Boone? And Mark is like, Boone's got this great singing voice. And they had completely avoided that because Mark wasn't a singer. So they had completely avoided that in like any of kind of planning what our team was going to be like. But Mark brought it up with Will, and then Will put me on the spot to make up a song. And so I had to make up a song that was not quite, some copyrighted song. And so then he just started doing that in every episode. And so I was making up little song jingles in almost every challenge because Will would just constantly put me on the spot. And you hear a few of them, but you don't hear even half of them because it was literally every episode from then on. And then there were just. I was just going to say the other thing is Will. Tenacious D, yeah. Oh, thank you. Sure. Yeah, School of Rock was one of my favorite Jack Black movies. So there's certainly a piece of that in there for me all the time. But the other thing, Will told such hilarious jokes when he was at our table, and there were moments where we were just like crying, laughing, but it got too inappropriate for national television too fast that none of that stuff made it to air, No. So, but whatever.
Tell me if it was true. Sorry. I heard that episode 1 had to get restarted because there was a team that dropped out very early on and they had to reboot.
On our season? I think we didn't have to start taping episode 1 again, but there was a team that, from what I understand, they didn't tell us, but I've pieced things together based on knowing who those people were. There was a team that I think had to drop out at the very last minute, but I didn't. We weren't aware of that at the time. I think by the time we all got there, it was the teams that you saw on the show.
Okay.
It was all through from there,
I mean, like Andrew, yourself, there's always going to be backups, but if they fluke it right the first time, it's going to roll through, and that's what they got.
That's right. Yeah. There's a question for you in the chat, Boone, from one of our long-time viewers. What do you think the best thing that you built was throughout the whole season? What was your favorite build of yours?
My favorite build was the food cart tower. So that was the Mega City build.
Yeah.
And an interesting thing is that was the one. So of all the challenges from Australia that we sort of were thinking about and like, could they give us something like this? The Mega City was one that we thought they're going to give us something like that. It's just too cool a visual to have all the tables that come together. And, our challenge number 1 was like that, but it was the theme park. And so after the theme park, we thought, well, maybe that was our version of the Mega City build. Well, they ended up giving us the Mega City build. And it was the one challenge that Mark and I had thought through some ideas in advance based on Australia. And then we got into the room, and we wanted to do something around like kind of a sustainable community, windmills and crops and, you know, like shipping container houses and stuff like that. And it was very clear very early on in that challenge that 2 other teams had ideas that were too similar. Yeah. So then we spent some time thinking like, oh man, and it took us a couple of hours just to come up with a clear idea. And then we were like, all right, the other thing that we love about Portland, the place where we live, is these food carts. And we're like, okay, what would it be like if we built a similar structure to what we were imagining, but instead of like shipping container houses, it's a big giant stack of food carts. Okay. So that's it. That's probably my favorite build. I mean, the finale build, Artopia, I really like as well, but I don't know if I like it as much. Part of that is I feel like if we'd had a clearer idea for the finale, we could have come up with something far better than we did. So part of me loves our finale build, but also feels like I wish we could go back and just come up with a clearer idea or something, you know. And I don't spend a lot of time thinking about that, but I think it colors my response.
Yeah.
Close.
Say that again.
All the guys off the show in general, are you all still a close bunch? I mean, I know COVID kind of ruined this year, but is there plans to do stuff around the country together at different conventions, or do you catch up with anyone regularly?
Well, so half of us, the last convention that happened in the States before COVID shut everything down happened to be the convention here in Portland. So it's you know, Mark and my home convention, and we were able to get half the cast to come out for that. And we had an incredible time at that. And, you know, I think we imagined at that time that we would do as many more of those as we could. And I, you know, not everybody is like as connected as sort of like that half of the cast. And it's not as clear cut as one half is and one half isn't, but there's some people that just don't connect with us as much. But, you know, like Mel, Jermaine, Richard, Flynn, Amy and Crystal, Sam, you know, there are people that from our cast that I imagine we will just always be friends, and we'll always meet at those things and do things as much as we can together. And if, you know, I sort of feel like they're casting for season 2 here now. And if that comes out next summer, you know, we could still not really be doing huge events. And so by then, that cast could be the new popular thing. And
well, keeping on that topic, and the question just come in perfect timing. Boone, what do you think of a Lego Masters All Stars? See,
I'm all about it. I would be back in a heart. Yeah, I would be back in a heartbeat. Now, is that an international? See, I hear people saying how awesome it would be to have people from the different international iterations come together for either way. If they want me back for anything, I'll come back. Maybe not another 8 weeks like this year, but if All Stars comes in like 3 years, I'm gonna be all over it.
Yeah, definitely. And I love. I mean, it's no dig at Tyler and Amy, but clearly you and Mark have been the 2 most popular coming out of the show, hands down. Like, you know, fair enough. Tyler and Amy, they won and they did all right. But you know, it's good to be the runner up, but still come out of it and, you know, hands are in the air. And
listen, I can't tell you how incredibly blessed I feel with how we were portrayed on the show, with how people and families, adults and kids, seemed to connect with us, what we've been able to accomplish in the last 6 months. It's a dream come true, and it in some ways I think hopefully we will be able to harness some of that energy into the future, regardless of what happens with Lego Masters. But it was definitely an incredible gift to us, and it didn't have to go that way, right? It didn't go that way for all of the teams, and so I feel privileged, blessed, whatever word you want to put in there, to have had that opportunity. So yeah.
All right. Well, so last Lego Masters question before we start talking about your actual Lego skills and stuff. If there was a challenge that you didn't get to do that you might have seen, say, our one, the Swedish one, the German, whatever, or one that you might have thought up, because we've done it as well. You go back to the hotel and it's like, oh, I wonder what the next challenge is going to be. Won't it be cool if it's X, Y, Z,
Yeah.
What
there was so much. There was so much speculation on that, and I almost halfway through, I was like, you guys stop trying to figure out what the next thing is going to be, because of course they don't want us to know. And it was just so much blah, 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 blah. It's going to be blah. It's going to be blah. But the one that I really loved, and I don't know if it was Netherlands or if it was y'all's season 2 or where it was, but the mini golf one,
Sweden,
where they had to,
Sweden.
It was Sweden.
Yeah.
That I think that is hilarious, and I'd love to do the mini golf challenge.
You know what? It's funny you brought that up. I just watched your video on that episode 4. How much better is it done like that than when it was done in the UK? Remember how they did the outdoors mini golf type? How much better was it on the Sweden one?
I didn't see the UK one, but that casino the guys built in the Sweden one was pretty sick. Cheapjokes.com if you want to see all the builds from that episode. The blog just went up today, so check it out.
Awesome.
All right, so let's get into your building and your actual Lego outside of the show and after the show. It's no stranger. You're probably one of the biggest on YouTube and you're streaming and that kind of stuff. The Magic School Bus. Now, we were talking about it yesterday in the stream by fluke, and you popped in and, it happened and just by pure chance, we didn't even know you were watching the stream. So for those that don't know, Boone has submitted a Lego ideas for this Magic School Bus. Now, if you're, I guess, 30 years old or over, you'll know exactly what the school bus is, what the cartoon was. If you're young, it was a very educationally cheesy pushed type of a show. It was cool. And this short little yellow school bus is definitely very cool as well. But out of all the things you could have picked, why the school bus?
Well, listen, I've struggled with ideas for years. I've wanted to contribute, an idea project and try to get something to become successful. And it's, in my experience, I have almost always been trapped by even feeling like I have an idea that's worth the effort of trying to push a Lego Ideas project.
Yeah.
Because it's like, if you want to try to do something original that's not related to an IP, it has to be such a unique, incredible idea, and the ones that stick out in my mind are like JK Brickworks, the marble maze. It's like everybody has an idea of what a marble maze is, but nobody imagines that it should be made out of Lego, right? Jake Sadovitz, Ship in a Bottle, is another example, in my opinion. Like, everybody, yes, it's a ship in a bottle. Like, I never would have imagined that could be made out of Lego. And I've never had an idea that I felt was that. So then, the other end of the spectrum is finding an IP that people love, but isn't popular enough to have already been done.
Okay.
To have already been done well. And that's a really weird thing to try to find, right? Mm-hmm. And I think the people who are able to get a lot of traction really fast is when they find something that's brand new to the world. Like, a lot of the video games that come through, right, are like people who come up, like, what's the one right now, Among Us, and it's so popular, or Animal Crossing, right? It's this new thing in the world, and it's so popular, and so of course it hasn't been done on Lego, so people can create an ideas project and get a bunch of support.
Totally.
And I'm just not on top of anything enough to do that one. So for years I was just thinking, okay, what's something that was popular enough that there's going to be people out there that want it. There's going to be people out there that it reminds them of their childhood.
Nostalgic.
And so then Netflix released the new version of the Magic School Bus. And so then I found myself being like, I remember it from when I was younger, and I'm watching my own children watch this new version of it. And I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to try. And it's not like it had never been tried before. There had been Magic School Bus builds on ideas before. I felt like I could build one better. And I'm not even saying that like that model is amazing. I love it, but you know, there's certainly ways that the Lego, you know, design team can take it and improve on it. But,
I mean, it's been proven 100 times. You don't need to be, you know, it doesn't need to be a technical, high technique build to make it through.
Yeah.
You know, if it sells that image, it sells that story, and it works. It's you know, it's perfect.
Yeah, and so you know, it's one of those things where I've fallen in love with it. You know, more and more since I kind of started generating the idea. And will it be successful? We'll see. Will it be my last ideas project? I hope not, but at least it was my first ideas project, right? So I sort of think about it. It's one of those things where, like, if I wanted to try ideas, I was never going to try ideas if I didn't try it once, right? Yeah. But now that I've tried it once, I can decide whether it's worth it in the future to try it again. But Brent Waller, man, I talk about him all the time. He is my inspiration in just like throwing stuff up there and having incredible stuff, and he's been successful over and over. So
he's probably the perfect example to use for the idea stuff.
Yeah.
Him and I mean, I would say JK's an absolute machine as well.
The other thing, I'll say one other thing about the Magic School Bus, and it's this. Yeah. Jake Sadavich's Ship in a Bottle. Every convention I've been to since the Ship in a Bottle was released the first time, I've seen people putting different stuff in the bottle. They put a Star Destroyer in the bottle, or an X-Wing, or the TARDIS, or the DeLorean, or whatever, right? And they put something different in the bottle and they put it out. And so in a way, that model inspires an amount of creativity. And the Magic School Bus literally turns into something different in every episode of the show. Yeah. So I feel like there's potential for people to buy the set and then to customize it in whatever the way they want, and it fits with the spirit of what the thing is. So
wouldn't it be crazy if it gets like picked up so well it turns into its own theme? And like you said, you start like the Mario, you're starting with a bus, and then here's all your interchangeables and what it could become.
Yeah. So
you never know.
Thanks for bringing it up. I appreciate any support.
Yeah.
So was Magic School Bus a show in Australia?
Yeah.
Okay.
Wasn't heavily popular, I guess, as it was over there, but it definitely was here.
Sure. Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
What were some of your other Lego ideas that you just didn't push through with?
I've had lists going for years of just like ideas. And I've just never had any that I really felt like were worth trying. Trying to find that sweet spot of like something that's popular but not so popular that it's already been done was like Falcor and Atreyu from the Neverending Story. I thought that could be cool if it was built really, really well done. But again, it's because everything that's super popular has been done, right? So that's like the nut to crack, or the other, again, going that other direction. I think was it Brent that designed the Bonsai Tree?
Yep. Yes.
Yeah. See, that's that other end of the spectrum where it's like it's just so ubiquitous that anyone that sees a bonsai tree sitting in a little dish understands what it is, but people wouldn't think that it's supposed to be made out of Lego. Yeah. So, and I don't feel like I've had any idea that's like that good in that way.
I think there's a lot of these kind of desk ornament type things coming through. Like you could put the piano into that class as well, even though it's massive.
Sure.
That's a big
but I feel like they're going for this adult range that there's going to be a lot more of that.
Like build
Right, and the globe.
Yeah.
Or Brent's other design, the time clock, the season clock.
Changing
Yeah.
things.
That's going to be wicked if that gets through.
I thought there was a time.
Model come back because of that display popularity.
There was a time where I thought like a classic 1950s jukebox would be really cool. But then I've seen some people do it, not necessarily on ideas. Like Paul Hetherington did a really cool one where it's a really neat jukebox, and he's got like sort of a dance floor with people dancing, and he submitted that to one of the ideas like challenges. And so there's just some of those things that, like, if I have an idea and then somebody else does it really well, I'm not super compelled to try to do it, you know. But
have you ever played around with digital design, or are you just strictly physical bricks?
I love both.
Really?
I know that tends to be a pretty polarizing thing. A lot of people are like, there's that jukebox thing that Paul submitted.
Yeah.
And all those little characters, you know, move around because it's motorized underneath. And I love putting bricks together with my hands. I love designing on the computer, you know, but I've been very interested in sitting at my computer creating, whether it be video production or, you know, I dabble in graphic design, and I've just loved creating with, you know, digital media for years. And so I think that translates into my love for, you know, and one of the great things I appreciate about, I use Bricklink Studio, is I'm not limited by the physical bricks that I have here.
Yeah.
But at the same time, sometimes I just want to come out here and put bricks together. You know what I mean? So, and when it comes down to it, when it comes to presentation, I really prefer to have brought it to the real physical bricks. So even when I design something digitally, my ultimate goal is to get all the parts and build it. The one example was the Bricklink A-fold design program. I designed an antique fire engine for that program, and I never physically had one in my hands until they actually built them. They built a couple of like test models in Billund, and then they sent us each one of those that was built in Billund. So they sent it to me, and then I had it in my hand, and it was something that I had only ever experienced digitally before. But
that went nuts on Bricklink when they released that.
It was I think there were 13 designs that ultimately went up for crowdfunding, and mine was funded. It reached whatever the threshold was to get funded. It reached in like a week or two or something like that. And then I think it ended up being the third or fourth most popular seller of those models.
And that would have been before the show as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome.
The only Bricklink set that I bought.
Yeah.
It's the only.
Oh, really?
Thanks, Dan.
April, the fire engine's great. Dan built that on the stream a while back.
Sick,
and fell in love with it.
As soon as
Thanks
I saw
a lot.
it, I'm like, yep, I need that.
Thanks a lot, Dan. I appreciate that. Yeah, I'll say that.
Do you have a holy grail set that you like, one that you've always wanted, you could never grab, or you've got it and that's like your, that's or even not if you can't even not able to set a theme.
So for a long time, well, I'll talk about two real quick. Black Seas Barracuda I got for Christmas in 1990. And over the years, I robbed parts from it to build other things. And then a few years ago, my folks were cleaning out their house to move. And they were like, come take all these boxes. And I was able to, from multiple boxes of old, like, childhood Lego creations, I was able to rebuild the Black Seas Barracuda, except for one element. There was 2 red oars in the little boat, and I could only find one of those red oars. But otherwise, I was able to rebuild the Barracuda from all of the parts that I had as a kid. So that was kind of one, and it was a fun journey to do that. And the one that I wanted as a kid and never had and now I have it as an adult because I bought it. But it was the what's it called? The Cosmic Fleet Voyager. I can show it to you if you want to see it. It was one of the larger, later classic space. It's still like it's like
we'll
white.
cut amongst ourselves. You go grab it. Go on.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't show and tell.
Yeah, I can't picture it, so I need to see it.
No, I don't think. I think. What the classic something Voyager was it?
Cosmic Fleet Voyager.
Cosmic Fleet Voyager.
Oh, that's it.
Space.
Oh,
So-
I have seen it at a show. Yeah.
So this was one. This was one that I saw in a catalog when I was a kid, and I would circle the things I wanted, but it was a catalog that I had gotten years earlier, and so it was no longer in production, and I didn't realize that at the time. As a kid, I didn't understand that like they only make this and put it on the shelves for a couple years. So this was one I always wanted as a kid, and I didn't have it until I was an adult. So those are my answers.
Is that back roof piece like a 10 by 10 trans yellow plate?
No, it's two. It's two 4x10s. It's two 4x10s right next to each other.
Still a clearly
Yeah, cool.
a clearly rare piece.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
I just did a quick
no pun
search.
intended.
I just did a really quick search. There's one you can buy here if you want one, Andrew. Actually, in Melbourne for $460.
Oh my god.
So that's like $4 US.
I'll trade the Batwing for it.
Classic space is where the that's your life savings right there.
Yeah. I think I got a really good deal on it. It was a guy who he just had it like loose in a bag, and it was at our local convention. Yeah.
I wonder if they'll do like
right
a re-release thing
What's that?
one day. I wonder if they'll do a re-release thing one day. You know how like with Nike sneakers, they'll re-release old models from the 80s and 90s and whatnot. If Lego get into that game and do retro sets, that'd be cool.
If they do, they're sitting on a gold mine. Everyone's asks for monorail, pirates, classic space. Like they're sitting on a gold mine. I think maybe they're saving that for a rainy day because, if they ever face the challenges that they did in the late 90s and the early noughties where they nearly went belly up, maybe these are all the and sets that they get out of jail free card.
I reckon.
As more and more kids go digital, this is what they'll bring out to say, hey, come back. Who knows? We can only hope. Just like we hope there's a DeLorean coming up after this bad boy.
That'd be so good.
We're all hoping for it. So.
Unless they're thinking outside the box, and then it just goes to a level where it's like, we're losing money again. We're going to go bankrupt. Let's re-release Bionicle. Then we're all stuck.
Oh god.
Galador.
They need to work closer with Nintendo because you look at them, every time they release Mario Brothers from 1985 on any platform, every adult buys it. Doesn't matter. I can think of every Nintendo console I have. That's a game that you always download, you always buy. You've played it so many times, you don't need it. I bought it again yesterday. Like, come on. You don't need to learn from Nintendo and just re-release crap.
April, no more Bionicle.
I never played Mario in my life.
Yeah, no Bionicle or Chima. Like, Galador. Like, they're done.
All right, well, we obviously we stretched over the time a little bit, but Boone, we apologize, but we also thank you for keeping it interesting for this long.
Absolutely. No problem.
No, it was absolutely amazing. And,
I'm wide awake now.
Yeah. You might as well just finish the Ghostbusters, the Ecto One.
Yeah.
Nobody
here is awake to watch.
Really important questions.
Yep.
BILSY, you can talk amongst yourselves because it doesn't concern you. BILSY, you're getting there with your mo. Cheap jokes, you're getting there. But I'm sort of getting a decent beard. What's the trick there to good beard care, Boone?
I don't know.
Using oil or what?
No,
beard
I
oil
don't.
in there?
I don't use any oil. I do brush it. I just brush it every day, and I don't feel like I have that great of a beard. It's just long. I mean, mine. I think mine wasn't that much longer than yours is now, Dan. before. I mean, a little bit longer than yours is now before the show.
Yeah, pull on it.
And then we realized that we were going to become the Bearded Builders. So as you know, as soon as we auditioned, or I guess it was very early in the audition process that we realized that they might be grabbing onto the beard thing. So then I stopped trimming my beard, and so that, you know, from beginning of auditions to the beginning of taping, my beard was quite longer than it had been because I knew I was not going to catch up to Mark, but I wanted to get closer. So and I haven't trimmed it much shorter since then. So now it's just part of my thing. But I can't stand it, BILSY. I can't stand to have the mustache. So I appreciate your efforts there.
Yeah, look, as I said, I'm not a fan either, but we have a thing in Australia called Movember where if you grow a mo for men's mental health, and that's why I'm doing it.
Awesome.
A team of us at work are all looking like 70s porn stars at the moment, and we're going down to the 1st of December so we can get them off.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but
well,
Dan, I'd just tell you, get one of those brushes that has like the really fine teeth and brush, and that'll keep it, you know, kind of all going in the same direction and keep it from getting tangled. I get tangles all the time, but brushing helps. So
yeah, because mine just curls around, and then I get sick of it, and then I trim it back again.
And you know, a beard oil will help you with that because it helps the fibers not stick to each other. It helps them kind of, you know.
Cool.
It turns out that we've got David Boone down here and Boone Builds. So yeah, bit of a string cricket joke for you.
Oh,
far out. All right, people. Boone does have a website. It is boonebuilds.com, and he's got all his links and his shop and all the bits and pieces there. Make sure you go and check it out. Same with Andrew. We'll give Andrew the plug. Cheapjokes.com. Go and watch his latest episode on the Swedish Lego Masters. Obviously, Dan Between the Bricks, the Twitch legend, and then me and BILSY will be back on this week for Thursday night to finish building the Batwing. So we'll thank you all again. And Boone, once again, you're an absolute legend. We appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you very much. You guys are all awesome.